Life Around the Lake, where the stories are all about us. What could be better? I love it. I can't wait. And it's right here on my phone anytime I need it.
Welcome to beautiful Lake of the Woods. My name is Louie. I am your TV host with Fishing with Louie. Lake of the Woods, it's over 500 acres. Has a lot of types of fish in it. We have largemouth bass, we have crappie, we have catfish, bluegill, and other types of panfish available. There's places that you could fish, of course, on the shoreline, and if you're lucky enough to have a boat, you could hit different points throughout the lake. The type of water that we'd be fishing, of course, is fresh water. And it's water that it's clear enough that you could actually sometimes be able to see the fish on the water, and especially when they're bedding and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunities to catch fish with different techniques that we will be teaching you how to fish throughout the shows that we will be bringing to your home. And once again, thank you for tuning in with us. So we appreciate that. So let's get started and get you ready to go out fishing, because that's what we're here for. This is what I recommend. Is called a fishing reel with your rod. This is a spinning reel with the spinning rod that accommodates it. This reel right here, it could be either left-handed, or if you unscrew it and put it on the other side, you could do it with the right hand. So this is very universal, and this is pretty lightweight and easy to use. So highly recommend this for yourself or your grandson, your son, or whoever you're taking out fishing at the time. The other option you have, if you want to give it a try, is called a bait caster, and I'm going to show you that. This is a bait caster reel. As you can see, totally different from the spinning reel. This one, it's either a left-handed or a right-handed. You cannot have both options, okay? You got to buy whatever accommodates you and so forth. Same thing with the spinning, with the rod itself is different. The eyes are a little smaller for the most part, and they're facing upwards the whole time. Okay, so this is different. This is a lot harder to fish, especially in windy conditions and so forth. It could be done. It takes a lot more practice. Some of the tackle that we have that you could start using is, guess what, guys? The old-fashioned worm. It's still out there. It catches probably more fish than anything out there in many bodies of water in beautiful USA. So here's a worm. They got so many kinds of different colors that you know, you'll find the ones that you like, and whatever works for you and your family. That's the one I recommend, of course. This is just your regular old worms. Then the hooks for this type of worm, and we're going to get more in depth in how to rig him and so forth at a later show. But basically, it's your simple hook to the worm. Here's what's called a bullet weight, and I'll put this up here so you can see it. It's called a bullet weight, that through the line will sit right on top of the hook, just like that. Okay, so this weight will be free to go up and down as you twitch it or move it around, while the hook is on the worm, and it's called the Texas style. We'll talk about that in a bit here. Crankbaits. Okay, here we have, and I'll show you different types of crankbaits, but this is what's called the crankbait. Okay, you got your treble hooks. Easy to use. You cast it out there and you reel. Hopefully you're hitting some type of bottom so it could penetrate the action of the actual lure, and it hits bottom, it jumps up, and it makes it erratic, and that's what fish like. But this is what's called crankbaits. So I recommend a few of these. They got different sizes depending on the depth of the water that you're fishing. Okay, these are called the square bills, so it's going down, but not as much. This is, by the look of it, you know, maybe 3 feet, no more than that for this crankbait. Where this one will be more like in the 8 foot, you know, 5 foot of waters and so forth. Then, if you want to go a little bit deeper, which this, by the way, this lake is about, I don't know if I mentioned, over 500 acres, and the deepest part is between 48 and 50 feet of water. This doesn't go that deep. This is probably in the 18 to 22 foot of water, depending also on what type of line you're using, because the heavier the line is going to actually keep the bait, whatever you're using, from going down deeper. So lighter line will take it, let the lure go deeper. But again, this is going a little bit too deep unless you want to. What's also, most of the lures that you buy out there are going to have names on them, tell you what they are, how deep they dive, so you know, you'll know that from the box when you go out looking. For instance, this one says suspended, where this one here is not. Once you stop reeling on with this bait, it's going to start floating up nice and slow. Okay, and it's up, and if you don't reel, it's going to go all the way to the top. And once you start reeling, it'll start diving back down. Where this one is, once you reel, it'll go down as deep as it needs to go, and then it's going to suspend. It's got a suspending stuff in there that it will keep it at that level when you stop reeling, and then it'll take a longer time to start rising up. Fish kind of love that sometimes. So different lures that you could use for different occasions. Again, another crankbait, but guess what? Now this one has a broken back, they call it, on it. Okay, so a lot of more action, and it has a rattle in it, another part to attract for fish to be attracted to, and so forth. Okay, keeping it simple again, guys. This is called the lipless crankbait. Oh, before I forget, let me show you this. Highly recommend these things. Okay, when you're storing your lures in a box, if you don't have numerous boxes where you could set each one at a particular storage unit, I highly recommend these. You put these hook covers. They're cheap, I forget how much they are, but they're not that expensive, and it keeps it from you getting hooked or it hooking other things in your box. Again, very accessible. You go in, reach out, get what you want, tie it up, and it's good to go. Getting back to the lipless crankbait, again, you cast it out, let it sink to the destination or depth that you want, and then start reeling in. You could twitch it, and it'll do a lot of little movements here and there. Very simple to fish, just like her big brother or little sister, whatever, the crankbaits. Okay, one has a lip, the other ones don't. Lipless crankbait. We have what's called a jig. Okay, these, let me give you two different kinds of jigs right here. One does not have what's called a trailer. Most fishermen are going to fish a jig just like this, and then they'll add a trailer to it. It'll make it more appealing, gives it more action, as you can see. So you want to have some type of a trailer in there, and they have so many different kinds that you could use. But the important thing here is that you try to match the colors so that the presentation looks like, hey, you know what? If I'm a fish, I'm going to bite that. I'm going to eat that. So this is what you want. Another thing that all these jigs have, there's a couple other lures that have it too, but especially the jig, is called the wheat guard. Okay, this black thing right here, what that does is when you cast it out in the water, if it goes over a branch or a weed or something like that, it's going to slide right over it, and it's going to keep the weed or or branches from hanging on, so it prevents a lot of hang-ups. Don't get me wrong, guys, you know, you are going to get some. You're going to get hung up, you're going to lose it, cut the line. It's all part of fishing. That's why we love this sport, okay? So again, the weed cuts are there. Some fishermen like to trim it and make it a little bit smaller, like this one here. Okay, that's been trimmed. I could feel the hook, but sometimes it helps you get the hook set better. You know, this works too, guys, so you don't have to cut them. All right, here comes getting back to the different kind of worms that are out there. Back in the day, many of you may remember, this was your traditional worms. This is what everybody went out fishing with, these type of worms. Nothing wrong with them. They're great. People still use them. I still use them, and you're going to catch fish with these type of worms. But everything progresses, and new technologies are made, new techniques, new ideas from fishermen and so forth, and they come up with this other little gadget. Similar to a worm, it's in the worm family, if you want to call it that. Most of them are called like Senkos, S-E-N-K-O, Senkos. This is pretty much have outgrown these. All right, so a lot of people use this. This is still out there, but this is what most fishermen are using right now, Senkos. Similar in the way you set it up. You could do without a weight or with a weight. Your hook, same way. You use one of these hooks like this, which is the same hook that I showed you earlier, and you just hook it, boom, and keep the you bury the hook so it doesn't stay to keep it weedless. That's one way of doing these. Another thing out in the market that I personally like to use is called a with this type of hook right here. It actually has the weight already in the hook, and you rig it like this and sideways, and that is called a wacky rig. There you go, guys. Wacky rig. Love this technique. As you can see, that it is the hook is exposed there, so you know, if it's too weedy, the area you're fishing, or too a lot of, you know, rocks and stuff like that, you may get snagged. But don't let that keep you from using this. All right, that's my tip of the day. How about that? This is a great bait to use, and you know, it works. Different sizes of weight will take you deeper, faster, and so forth. So definitely, this is called a again the wacky rig. And then if the fish are biting a lot, and these things are, it can be pricey, so you want to kind of save these a little bit. Let me tell you about the fishing line that's recommended. If you're using, again, guys, the spinning rod, anywhere between 6, 8, maybe 10 pound test line is plenty. Okay, I would stick between the 8 and 10 pound. That would be a good size to get into, so that you don't have to have, you know, so many different type of line that you have to re-spool and so forth. Stick to 1, 8 or 10, you're good with that. Stick to 8. Let's stick with 8. So this is good. On the bait casters, I personally like to use between 10 and 14. Okay, I'm okay with that. I did a lot of fishing down in Florida in the Everglades, and there's a lot of more vegetation in there, sawgrass that will cut your line very easily. So back there I'll be in the 14, 16 braided line, which we could talk about that on a different segment, and so forth. So Lake of the Woods, in your own backyard, anywhere on this, for these type of reels, 10, 12, 14, and stay right there, and you're good. The heavier line, it kind of restricts your casting, and so forth. So, but with heavier line, you could put on this type of presentation, you could put a heavier lure you're not going to be able to cast, or you should not be casting something this heavy on a spinning rod. It's just not the right technique for it, or the right presentation and so forth. Let me talk to you about this little thing right here. Okay, this is called a Sarah spook. Okay, now worm fishing, jig fishing, crankbaits, lipless crankbaits that we talked about, all that style of fishing, it is pretty much underwater. So you're not seeing the hits for the most part, or the strikes of the when the fish hits it, but you're feeling it. Now comes the other technique, top water fishing. Boy, if that doesn't get you going, then I don't know what will. Because when you hear a bass, or hear or see a bass hitting a top water action, folks, that's why I'm out there, to get those moments like that. So you have the Sarah spook, and the technique on this is it's what they call walk the dog. Once you cast and this lands on top of the water, as you twitch it and reel at the same time, this thing goes like this, from left to right. They call that walk the dog. And once we're out in the water, I'll show you how that looks, and pretty interesting. It works very well early in the morning, later evenings, but don't get stuck on that cloudy day. You get to a shoreline that has some shade, put it out there. This works. It is a big bait. Don't let that say, oh man, the bass are not going to hit that. They do. They always like, it works. Another one that you could throw on a spinning rod or a bait casting rod is called a popper. There's so many styles of poppers. You cast this out to the water, let it sit, and when you twitch, this also has like a treble hook with I forget the name of this right now, but it's a treble hook with some coloring in the back. I forget the name. It'll come to me and I'll tell you. But once this lands in the water and you twitch it, this is going to be right on top of the water and just spitting out, you know, the water. That's what they call a popper. So you could twitch it, twitch, stop, let it sit, twitch, begin the process again, and the fish will tell you what's working. You know, one twitch and that's enough, or twitch, stop, or so forth. But every time you move the rod tip in your rod, this thing is moving forward and it's pushing the water out, and the last one, there's plenty out there, but we'll keep this simple for you guys. This is called a some people call it a Sammy or a spinning image and so forth. It's similar to the Sarah spook and similar to the popper. So this is in between both, and I'll show you why. You cast this out to the out on the water. The body, or the back end of this will go ahead and first of all, it's got a rattle in there. Okay, so the back end is going to go deeper in the water, and the face is going to be above the water. And again, as you twitch it, it's going to move left and right, but it'll be a lot, the maneuvering from left to right is going to be a lot tighter than the Sarah spook, where it was going left and right like this. This is going to be a lot more, you know, boop, 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 like that, straight at you. Okay, and nice to use. It doesn't it produces a less water disbursement than the popper, and the Sarah spook is gliding through the water, where this one's actually moving water a little bit. So just something different to use. Okay. Another thing, two more worms that I want to talk to you about is this is called a, folks, this is called a French fry. Okay, great name, and I'm sure it tastes as good too, because the fish love them. There are so many different colors. All the worms that I've shown you, there are so many different colors that you could pick and choose from. Again, that's your call. If it looks good to you, you know what, and you want to give it a shot, why not, man? Maybe the fish like it too, and that's how you that's how you you know, have faith in the lures that you're using. Because if you have no faith in this, then don't even throw it. There's plenty of other things out there that you may say, you know what, that works for me, this doesn't. So, but you may be limiting yourself and not experimenting with whatever is out there in the market. And again, you could get crazy buying stuff there. There's so many things that it can be overwhelming. Kids like this French fry, you know, they may say, hey, could I try this as a French fry? Sure enough, put it out there. The same rigs, you could go ahead with, like I showed you earlier, with the Texas style, and we'll talk about that later. But basically, it's you know, a hook through the worm, the bullet, a bullet weight, and it keeps it weedless also, because you're burying the hook into the body of the French fry. So it'll ride like that. So again, give it a shot. Nice to have. As you can tell, it's a lot smaller than the other ones that I have shown you before. Here's the other one. Okay, a lot smaller. So it's a more finesse presentation, and you'll hear that term been kicked around a lot. Finesse is just, you know, when the fish are being a little finicky, then you know, hitting the bigger things. Maybe it's time to downsize so that you could you know, maybe attract different kinds of fish. I have about 2 more that I would like to show you too. I don't want to overwhelm you. Like I said, I wasn't, but there is so much stuff out there, and you know, when you love the sport, you just want to share it with everybody. It's like anything. If you like cooking, singing, whatever it may be, you want to go ahead and share it with the folks that are out there. And I do appreciate you guys tuning in and giving me the opportunity to you know, show you, entertain you, whatever it may be. But anyways, here's a chatterbait. Fairly new to me. I want to say I've used this maybe 8 years, no more than that. I could tell you this, I was not using this when I started bass fishing back in the 80s. Yeah, I'm old too. You're not the only one out there. I'm old too. But anyways, as you can see, this has 2 hooks, and I'll tell you why. Okay, this is you would hook the line right through here, through this part of it. Okay, and as you reel in, this thing is going to be doing exactly that. It's going to be moving up and down like that. It is sending. First of all, it's reflecting off the sun. Okay, so you got, some of them are silver, some of them are gold. You know, if one ain't working, guess what? Try the other one, and it may. But as you are reeling in, this thing is, you know, doing a lot of action. It's going, you know, moving out through the water, a lot of action on it, and fish love that. I mean, it's all about, you know, the action that a lure, when you put it out in the water, what it's doing, what it's representing, and so forth. The double hook system here is sometimes a fish would short strike it, and what that means is, instead of, you know, in eating the whole bait, they'll go ahead and just nip at it and nip the end of it or something like that, and that's what we call short strike. And that's why you put a trailer hook, and that's what this other hook right here is there for. Most of the chatterbaits, when you buy them, already have a trailer hook attached to it, or it's in the box and you got to put it together or so forth. Very simple. Just, you know, you put the eye of the hook through the you would put the eye of that trailer hook through the hook of the original one, and then, you know, that's how you hook it up. And then you put a little, like not a rubber band, but whatever gadget they give you to put it in the hook to keep that hook from, you know, falling out or getting in the way when the fish bites it. So again, you should have a trailer hook on these type of baits, because you're moving it through the water quickly and they may miss it, and it's good to have 2 hooks are better than 1, you know. So there you have it, and there's your trailer right there. So that's how that looks. Hopefully you get a good picture of that, and you call this chatterbait. Nicely, very versatile weight lure here. You could use it in as you cast and let it sink down to the bottom as deep as you want, and then start reeling from that area. So you could fish this, 3 feet of water, 2 feet of water, or 10 foot of water. So keep that in mind. And lastly, I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but I do love this bait. My daughter loves this bait, so she's a fisherman too. Anyways, and my son too. I don't want to leave him out of that. I'll never hear the end of it if I don't mention my son in this either. My son and daughter love this bait, and they grew up fishing this bait. Very simple. I would say, in my opinion, this is one of the baits that has the most action that you could buy over the counter without using live bait. Live bait, of course, is probably the best. Not my style. Nothing wrong with that. If that's your type of fishing, go for it. Catch fish. That's what you want to do, and have fun, of course. But I choose not to. I like everything that I've shown you in the past. But let me talk to you about this little bait. This is called a fluke. F-L-U-K-E. Fluke. Love this bait. Easy to use. I'll show you how to rig it real quick here. I have another hook here that's just like this one, but once said and done, this is what you're looking at. Again, you could use this bait with a spinning rod, or a spinning reel in this combination with the rod, or a bait caster from the other one that I showed you earlier. This is the hook that was earlier that I showed you over here. Basically, you see this has like a little point on the hook that sticks out. Not the eye where you tie the line, but right in here, right in there, there is like a metal piece that sticks out. What that does, whatever bait you put in here, it may be a worm, it may be this, a fluke, whatever bait you put into this hook, it's going to support it and give it an extra grip to keep the bait from sliding off and so forth once you cast it and so forth. Let me show you how to rig this, and then you'll see a better picture. You got your fluke, okay? You put in the hook right through, I should be putting my glasses because I do wear glasses when I do this now, but you put it no more than just like that. No, don't bury the hook no more than that. You come right out just like that, okay? You slide it all the way up past that what name could we use for that? It's called the don't know. It just holds your bait up there. I'm sure it has a name that I don't know. Okay, once you bring it up there, now you turn it as you bring it. The hook is coming right to the body of that fluke, and you pinch it, expose the hook, and then kind of bury it right back into the body of the fluke, or a worm or anything else you're using. Okay, what that does, you can run your finger through there and you're not getting stuck. Guess what? If you're not getting pinched, the weeds are not getting into it, the branches are not getting it, and this is now a weedless bait. You could cast this anywhere, and your chances of getting out of that area is pretty damn good. And hopefully you have a fish on it at the end of it. But that's all it is. Okay, you cast it and then you twitching it, and this thing is going like this. Let me put it towards you. It's going like this. Back down, up, in every direction you could go or cast, this thing is going. And it looks like a dying fish, basically. Very good. Different colors. I personally like the white color, or pearl, white pearl, I think they call it. This is the super fluke, which is this size is bigger than I guess the little fluke. So there you go, guys. Highly recommend this. It keeps you entertained. It keeps the kids entertained because they're actually moving the bait around, and you see them coming up out of the water and going back down and so forth. So keep this in mind. Highly recommend this. Once again, thank you so much for letting me into your homes. My name is Louie Amador, Fishing with Louie. Thank you so much. enjoy this beautiful lake, Lake of the Woods. See you next time.